Hello everyone. So today we are going to be covering a very important topic, that is how to handle isolated pawn situation, where we'll be looking at a game. It is played by a very strong GM, and his name is Vadim. So let's look at the game. How to continue with the similar pawn structure openings which occur after d4 and c4, and you can use these ideas in the opposite color situation also. So let's look at the position: c4, c6, e4, d5, and here the opponent is also a very strong player. So the grandmasters, they believe in initiative and fast development. So the white doesn't go into d into c6, knight into c6, and have two knights that are well placed and only one pawn that is advanced in the white side. So white continues with knight c3, takes, takes, and you can see that there are three pawn islands of white, and there are only two islands of black. So almost a good situation for black. Let's look at how did white continue. Knight f3. If he takes on c3, we take d into c3 and we make our structure better again. And e6, bishop c4, knight c6, developing moves, castle, bishop e7, d4, taking the center, and it's a very dynamic advantage that white has if he has a pawn on d4, so that it controls the e5 square, and it gives us center control also. He castles, rook e1, and here there are two options, and the better one was to continue with bishop f6. And the important thing what we need to understand is having a knight on d5 in this position is very good, because first of all it blockades the isolated pawn and you can double your pieces and then go for this pawn. And this was a better continuation after knight e4, again bishop e7, and it was continuable. And but here black went for a bad idea, which was to go back knight f6. We continue first. We don't allow any ideas to bring his knight and blockade our pawn again. So we play a3, and then we make our square for a bishop whenever he goes a6 b5 kind of ideas. So he went a6, preparing b5, but it's a waste of time, which he has to maintain the pressure on this pawn. Instead of that, black tries to take space on the queen side, but it's not of use in this position. So before he goes b5, we drop our bishop back and we say you can take the space on b5. b5. In this position, we get the opportunity to take out a weakness from our position and we push d5. In this position, he is forced to take. Knight takes. If he doesn't take our knight, then we take his bishop and we have an open position. So bishops are more powerful than knights. So he's forced to take. Now there's a tactic where after queen into d5, if he takes queen into d5, bishop into d5, then we take his knight and we take his bishop. If he goes bishop b7, bishop into c6, bishop into c6, rook into e7, we are just a piece up. So in this position where b5, instead of b5, queen c7, bishop e3, rook d8, queen c2, followed by rook d1 d5 was also a good plan for white. If he didn't play b5 and went for queen c7, but in the game play d5, takes, knight takes, queen takes, followed with bishop b7. And now his threat is not like threat, but he has a good position. If we take, he brings his rook here. So we slide our queen h5, And notice that in this position, where white has a very good position with his light square bishop, the monster diagonal, and our open bishop, and our knight can jump to knight g5 anytime. So our opponent can play many moves in this position, where can play if he plays h6, it's a massive blunder because bishop h6, g h6, queen g6, king h8, queen into h6, king g8, then bishop b1, threatening mate, and if he moves his rook e8, it's not at all solution because check, king h8, bishop g6, king g8, queen h7, king f8 doesn't work. Queen into h7 is a mate. So, and then bishop into h6, g into h6, queen at king h8, and then king g8, bishop e1. Now f5. He thinks all the problems are solved, but bishop h2 again, bishop a2, and notice that his king is not allowed anywhere. So he's forced to play rook f7, then queen g6, king h8, and it's a winning position for white. So he can continue instead of h6, he can go queen d6, where you can see that we trade our undeveloped bishop for his one of the good bishops. Go bishop g5, and rook a d8. If he plays rook a d8, then we have a better position after bishop e7, knight into e7, knight g5, queen g6. We have knight into f7, where rook into f7, rook a d1. If he takes, rook into d1, bishop c6, rook d6, bishop e8, and with winning a6 endgame for white. So instead of, if he plays g6 in this position, you can go queen h6, knight e5, knight g5, forcing the mate. So forced to take, bishop into g5, bishop into g5, and queen d6, and rook d1. We are placing our rooks in the open file, and we are preparing bishop e3 also, and f3, and closing the diagonal. So it's a very good position for white. So the black continues with the only best move, queen c7, connecting the rooks, bishop g5. If he takes, knight into g5, and it's a good position. Bishop into g5, knight g5, threatening a mate. h6 is the only move. Then we go rook e3, rook lift. We go for the h file kill. So now, if knight a5, what happened in the game, it's a very terrible blunder because we play queen g6 and we have a mate on h7. So he's forced to play take rook h3, and then if rook f e8, then we have a very good sequence of rook h7, threatening a mate. The only thing which he has is queen e5 defending the thing. We play queen into f7, sacrificing the rook over here. King into h7, queen h5 mate. So this is a good position. So he's forced to play rook fc8. So in this position, what happens here is he's threatening. When we go rook h7, he has a mate on c1. So we play rook e1, taking out the squares. When we go queen h7 and queen h8 mate. So in this position, black resigned. What you can learn from this position is that where we enter this position, where we go queen h5. See this position, what you occur after taking out the weakness in your camp, and before you take out the weakness in your camp. See, in this position you don't have anything, so you can push d5 at the right time and have a very good game and play with the open position and good bishops, and you may have better winning chances. So this example shows you how to handle position when the opponent doesn't take the opportunity to pressure your pawn and he doesn't blockade this pawn by his knight. So this is a better example to show how to handle an isolated pawn when you're struggling to handle this position. Let's look at the very important position where when you have an isolated pawn, you should never ever go for the end game, which is very bad for you as the opponent can take advantage in the end game, as we have seen in this position where he has a very good position and we have an isolated pawn so that he can come and take our weak pawn and win the end game. When you have an opportunity to take out this weakness by pushing the pawn in the middle game, then go for it at the right point of time so that you don't have a difficulty in your end game.
Somewhere far away, I want